G'day guys, welcome back to Supercoach with DR. Hope you've all been well. Today I thought I'd give you a little bit of a midfield. G'day guys, welcome back to Supercoach with DR. Hope you've all been well. Today I thought I'd give you a little bit of a mid-Feb team update, show you what the current team's looking like. I've made a structural change. It's a little bit risky. Am I happy with it? Not overly, but I'll talk you through that in a minute. Before I do, a few housekeeping things. I wanted to give a huge thank you to all of the members of the channel, particularly the new members that have signed up within the last week. Absolutely means the world to me. All the money goes directly to Beyond Blue. It's only $1 a week. If you are interested in becoming a member of the channel, all you need to do is click on the join button. You should see that next to the subscribe button. Click on that. That'll give you all the information that you need. It will go through all the perks that you get. We're having a video members chat tomorrow night, for example, where we'll rate each other's sides. I can give you one-on-one advice, etc. Got a great community there. But if you are interested, click on that join button and that will give you all the info there. And this year, there is an added bonus. You get automatic entry into our $10 prison league. I'm not going to go through all the info now because I did put out a video about a week and a half ago. So if you are interested in finding out all about our prison league, it's a really fun concept. $10 entry, as I mentioned, free for members. So that's what, 2.5 months free, and you get entry into this league. If you are interested, email me at scprisonleague@outlook.com. I'll send you through all the info, payment details. We'd love you to jump on board. Got a heap of people interested at the moment. We're hoping to get at least 100 people into the league. So that's the goal anyway. If we get to even 50, there's $500 in the prize pool. Be really, really fun. Thank you again to all the subscribers of the channel. Now, there's been a lot of competition to try to get into this league that I'm running. There's only the one Supercoach with DR league. I am running a live prize draw tomorrow for the last 2 videos that I did there. Comments have closed off from there. So if you commented on those videos, your name will be on the draw. If you commented on both, your name goes in twice. For this video, if you want your name into the draw for the next spin of the wheel, all you need to do is comment down below who is the biggest pod in your side. Who is a player that you currently have that has the lowest ownership percentage? I'm really interested to find out where you guys are going, some outside the box picks, and I'd even love some reasoning if you can be bothered as well. But that's what you need to do to get entry into the league. And if you see me sweating bullets, it's about 40 degrees here in Vic. It's Friday night. I reckon it's 37 at the moment. Absolutely stifling. And of course, our aircon has shut down. So we've got the fans going. I haven't got one in the room at the moment because obviously it's going to give too much noise out. So if I do pass out during the video, someone call 000 and help me out. But hopefully I'll get through it. Let's get into it. Alrighty, before we start talking about individual players, there's a couple of things that I want to talk about first. I know what you're thinking when you look at my defence here. What on earth has happened with your structure? Where's Dawson? Where's Stewart? Have you lost your marbles? Have you lost your mind? Yeah, potentially I have. I actually may have here. But what I think is really, really important each year, apart from obviously letting rookies dictate your structure, is to look at where the value lies. And for me, there's a lot of value in our defensive line this year. A lot of players under the highest price rookie. You've got Caulfield, 208, Goda, 192, Jimby with the 171 price tag, and McKenna with the 167 price tag. Now, look, all very, very speculative here, but you'll see when I come to my forward line in particular why I've actually gone pretty light in defense. And a lot of the explanation will come when I do get to individual players. Secondly, I wanted to share with you a little bit of an analogy which I refer to as the school uniform analogy when you're selecting players in your side. So my oldest fella Nash has just started high school this year, and we had to fork out $1,000 on this brand new school uniform. It was basically one of each thing. So you've got obviously a blazer, which is a big bucks there, you know, your shirt, shorts, pants, socks, tie, and the shoes weren't included within that $1,000. Bloody hell, how expensive are shoes these days? Even a decent pair of school shoes. Unbelievable anyway. So at the end of the day, it was about $1,200 for a brand new uniform. About a week later, my mum goes down to a garage sale a K down the road and gets more than what we got for $100 on the dot. So that included a blazer, I think it was 4 or 5 shirts, all this other stuff, a range of stuff. So $1,000, it was obviously secondhand. $1,000 for the new stuff, and obviously $100 for the secondhand stuff. You look straight to my midfield here and you'll see Oliver and Laird, you're paying up way too much. For me, that is my brand new school blazer. And that's one thing we wanted for Nash was brand new stuff. It's his first year of high school. We don't want him going in shabby stuff. We need to get him something brand new. But also, we don't have the money to buy, 2-3 pairs of brand new things. That's where the old garage sale and mum absolutely came into play and saved the day there. So, for Laird, Oliver, Bontempelli, they are the brand new school blazer. Spanking new, wear it with pride, you know that it's going to last. You've then got someone like Hayden Young, Tom Green, and Tom Mitchell. Well, Tom Mitchell, I refer to him as the blazer that mum got. Now, it certainly was in good condition. Great condition, but it was a little bit faded. We're just not quite sure. It's not brand new, put it that way, but it will certainly do the job when the new blazer is getting dry cleaned. We'll be fine, won't look out of place, will absolutely do the job, as I said. You've got someone like a Tom Green, who I think is a blazer as well, but he's got a little bit of a stain on him at the moment. So this may be a blazer that mum picked up for $100. Looks absolutely close to being brand new, but it does have that stain on it. The big question is, will the old nappy sand be able to get the stain out? There's potential that it could. If so, basically a brand new school blazer. We are absolutely loving life. What a bargain that was. But question marks on whether or not we can actually get the stain out. You've got Elliot Yeo. So for me, he's like an old pair of really, really sturdy pants. Or else you could almost call him the shoes. Now, he could be a great brand of shoe. It may have been $300 back in the day. But now, you've got it at a garage sale. It's been worn, but it's true. It's been tried. It's been tested. The issue is that it could be falling apart soon. Been a few years in the system there on the feet. It could be quality, but we're not quite sure. We haven't really tried the shoes on yet. That's the Elliot Yeo selection. The Caulfield, the Goders, the Jimbies, the McKennas, they're like your socks, they're like your ties. Really, really important stuff, but nice and cheap, but hopefully they're going to get us through the year. The rookies, again, I simply refer to as the socks. Maybe someone like a Wilmot or a Weddle, they might be the older type socks. The McKennas, the Goders, the Caulfields, maybe a little bit more confident with those type picks, given the fact they've been in the system for a little while longer. They could be the brand new socks, let's just say. Then you've got your Hopper. That's a nice, decent pair of pants, I think. Your Ashcroft, well, they're the pants that you've got at the garage sale, but again, maybe a slight stain. If you get the stain out, well, they could be really, really decent and close to brand new. And then you've got your Will Phillips, who, again, could be a good brand of sock, but, we don't really know what's happening there. He's not overly important. We've got a lot of other rookies here. We've got socks absolutely everywhere. I always find odd socks at my house anyway. So that's the best way that I can describe, and I haven't shown you my rucks and my forward line the way that I'm going this year. I'm thinking the school uniform analogy. Basically, you got to get some Gucci, then you got to get some Nike, then you got to just go to Kmart at times and look for some value. Even go to the op shop, get some really nice branded clothes that have been worn before. That's the best analogy that I can give when it comes to these players. But now let's actually get into the individual players. Now, Young, am I confident having Young at D1? Not overly. But as I said, I see a lot of value here and I'm spending up on other lines. So what do I like with Young? Well, it's that natural progression. He was an early draft pick. He's a bit of a versatile defender. And most of all, this is a big attraction, is the fact that hopefully, and it looks likely, given what we've seen during the match sims at Freo at the moment, that he'll be taking a lot more kick-ins this year. And hopefully that means that those scores around the 80 mark will then jump up to the 95, possibly even 100 mark. And those nice 110 to 120 type scores, well, his ceiling is going to rise even further. We know there's a lot of competition for those kick-outs. You've got, Cox, there's a Wilson playing the 22, Luke Ryan, obviously, Heath Chapman. There's a number of players that, could have a few kick-ins from time to time, but we know that Luke Ryan has had the monopoly in the past, shared them around a little. If Hayden Young can take over that position from Luke Ryan, then automatically his ceiling rises. So we really do like the Young selection. There are some question marks. Does he absolutely break out into the Uber Elite? I think that he can. And at 508, I'm happy to back against Dacos at around 45%. and go with Hayden Young. I just think there are a few more question marks actually on Dacos, and I'm obviously going away from the pack there, but there are particular players who I do like to back against highly owned players. I'm pretty sure Dacos is the most highly owned defensive premium over 500k this year. Might be second after Stewart. I'm not too sure on the numbers there, but I'm pretty sure it is Dacos. I think Dacos is a prime tag target. I think that we've got to take into account the fact that that spike in his scoring towards the second half of the year, a lot of that was due to extra kick-in duties. If he's playing through the midfield, I think he loses 10 to 15 points automatically there. He can certainly make them up, don't get me wrong. More of the peel clearances, contested possessions, etc., etc. But I've got a few more question marks on Dacos. It could be Dacos here, but it's Young at this stage. But look, I've got plenty of ways that I can get him up or even bring someone else in. Get Young to the D2 position, bring a premium in. Lots of ways to do that, but this is the structure at the moment. Yo, I think, is a pretty easy selection. I mentioned there are some players I'm liking to back against. Yo is not one of those players. A premium in the past, gone 102, 107, 107 in 3 consecutive years. I think the year after it was between 83 to 89, I'm going to say. Year after, injury interrupted. Then came back in 2022. Just couldn't get his body right. In, out. Bit of a nothing year, and that's why we see him at a bargain price. So I'm happy to jump on Yo. Really like his role. Defensive midfielder. Well, he doesn't have defensive midfield status at the moment, but I think he might come round 6. So, really friendly role for Supercoach, in my side, very highly owned for a reason. Caulfield, similar to Young, I think he's a pretty versatile type defender, so I think he can be that attacking type player, the intercepting type player, can play small, can play tall, was an early draft pick, I know a really good leader, they really rate those qualities, so I think that he does fit in the 22 this year. Am I absolutely sure? No. But if he is in the side come round 1, then it's, very, very high chance that he stays in my side. Goda, I'm less confident on now because of the news that's come through that Jack Zeeble may be playing in the back line or will be playing in the back line. He's actually said that himself. So given the fact that Zeeble is entering, Goda's been playing in the B side at stages during match sims. I'm much less confident on Goda now and may need to do something with this pick. So may need to even get him up to a 600k plus defender if I need to. I've got options, as I mentioned before. But look, if he's in the 22, maybe there's another injury down back. He could even push on onto a wing possibly. I'm not too sure, but there is a fair bit of competition for those half-back wing type roles at North. Not sure what's happening there. Jinbi, I think, is a pretty easy lock. He should play round 1, and again, we'll get some midfield time. Don't know how much time he'll get, but enough, I think, to make him make at least 150k. He should have a pretty friendly role. McKenna and Wilmot are both in my side at the moment. I just can't split them. McKenna 167, Wilmot. The Pepsi Max King is obviously at the friendlier price there, but where do they sit in the pecking order? I just don't know. I'm so on the fence. So for that reason, I've just got both of them at the moment. And there's other players that could come in here. For example, I don't have a Cowan who may play round 1. And Weddle has not moved, I don't think, since day 1. He's an absolute lock, looking to play round 1, I think. There was some news about him and Cam McKenzie, I think, really, really firming for round 1. So that's a defensive line. Obviously, pretty light. It does scare me, but let's get to the midfield quickly. Now, Laird is an absolute lock for me. He's not going to move from my side. Great vice-captain, captaincy option each week. Only went down $9,000 from his original starting price. How are we going to get this man in? He's just so consistent. Plays 4 out of the first 5 weeks at the Adelaide Oval. Never gets tagged, and I know this because I didn't own him last year. I'm just waiting for some opposition attention, but nah, just let him get his 30 to 40 touches each week. Well, I just don't get it. Maybe opposition coaches don't think that he's that damaging, but he knows how to rack up the peel. I don't think his role changes whatsoever this year. You know, Rory Sloane comes back into the side. They've got Berry there, Schoenberg. They've got some players that can play through. They're a Haitley type. Who knows? I'm not too sure, but I'm so confident on this pick at the moment. He's going to be my captain basically each week. And as I mentioned, it's so tough to bring him in if he's as consistent as what he was last year. And don't get me wrong, I'm not saying he's only going to go down $9,000. You might get him at 650, but still 650. All the stars have to align. You need the player to upgrade, downgrade, all the rest. A lot of stuff needs to go right to actually bring this man in. So I'm just starting him and locking him in. Oliver's pretty much the same now. There's a bit of talk going around that his thumb still isn't 100%, and it's giving him a little bit of bother. If that's the case, then I will consider dropping Oliver to a cheaper Uber Premium. I could go all the way down to a mid-pricer in Sheed and then possibly upgrade a Gota to somebody else. There's lots of things that I can do here, but there are a lot of blokes between 600 and 680k that I am pretty keen on as well. So lots of options for the Oliver spot, but for now I think it's safer just to get him in. And if news comes through that that thumb really isn't looking good, then I can basically go down to any other player that I want. But a fit and healthy Oliver, I am pretty much locked into starting. So I'm paying big here, but I think I'm paying big for quality. Yeah, hope that Oliver's right. The Bont is an absolute lock. More question marks on Jack McRae, another player that I've been considering, but just not quite sure about him. I think Bont's CBA rate goes through the roof this year. I think he'll be the main man there. My Brownlow medal favourite, along with Josh Dunkley this year. So I think he's a pretty easy lock, and he will be a pretty highly owned player come round one. Tom Green, I think, is one of those uber breakouts. I've talked a lot about him during the preseason, so we know about the opportunity that he sees in the GWS midfield come 2023. Hopper, Taranto out. I'm pretty much repeating myself here. Had a red hot start to the season last year. Tapered off. I think a lot of that was due to his tank, but he really improved that, looking really fit, obviously strong. We call him the Green Bull during the preseason, so pretty close to being locked into my side. And Mitchell as well. I just see so much potential here. I see so much value. We've seen what he's done in the past. His CBA rate has plummeted in the last 2 years, and that's seen, obviously, a decrease in his Supercoach average. So at 528,000 in the Collingwood midfield, and people have said, look, the game style may not suit him as that low possession style type game. That may be the case, but Tom Mitchell just knows how to rack up the ball. He'll be in and under. They brought him in for that reason, for that role. And if that CBA rate goes up, which I guarantee you that it will, I can see him going 110. And for me, that's good enough at 528k. I'm finding it hard to split Mitchell and Green, the old or the new. So at this stage, I'm just going both. The risk here is that there's many other players here that could out-average him. You know, your Neils, your Tukes, your Mills, your Cripps, your Parishes, the Brayshaws. There's so many players that could feature in that top 8 come the end of the season. But I think if there's two players around the 500 to 550 mark that can go close to breaking into that top 8, it's Green and Mitchell. Green for that real breakout type selection with the opportunity, and Mitchell because we have seen it before, hopefully with his old role back. Yeah, he'll really smash it this year. Looking super fit at the moment. We know he owns that business with a couple of the other AFL players as well. Looking super fit, and I think he'll be super motivated as well. Collingwood are in the window. We saw what they did last year. Hawthorn aren't. So, given the fact he's come across to a potential premiership side, he'll be really, really motivated and want to put his best foot forward. Hopper, don't need to talk about him. He's a lock. Ashcroft, again, absolute lock, and so is Phillips. So, this is such a popular M5 to M8. I don't see too many sides from coaches that I rate that don't have this set up with Hopper, Ashcroft and Phillips. I think that you've just got to have all three. We've got Constable here on the bench now. Now, I really like his defensive mid status. I like the fact that it's been mooted that he may be playing round one off a half-back role, but what I just can't get is why he's playing off half-back. I don't think he's got the speed, and I don't think he's got the disposal. So I don't see how any of his strengths match up to a half-back position. I see him as an inside midfielder, and he can score well if he plays that role, but their depth there is pretty good for inside midfielders at the Sun, so I don't see him breaking into that position, and that's probably while they're trolling him down back. I like the fact that we have seen him score well in the past, albeit in a different role. He's obviously got a mature body. Can he play as a tool back there? I'm really not too sure. I don't get Constable as a backline selection, but if he plays round one, I'm basically locking him in. Baker was actually mic'd up the other day. Watched about a 4 to 5 minute video. Would you mic up someone that's just going to be filling in the VFL? I'm not too sure. I don't think so. So I think he's pretty much, he's very close to locking down a wing spot, or at least starting on a bench and rotating through the midfield half forward anyway this year. And Drury, really not too sure with him, but at 102k if he starts, DPP status, and mid forward, you can swing a lot of blokes in. I'm sure that many of you are starting with guys in your forward line that have DPP status at mid forward status. He'll be a great tool to be able to make some changes when you need to there. So, yeah, if he plays round one, absolutely locked for me. Now we will get into the rucks and the forwards. So you see a little change here. For a start, Marshall is absolutely locked. I am most confident on him over any other ruck in the competition this year. Pretty nice price at 506k. I think he can certainly outdo that. My concerns about him potentially having some forward time, given the carnage they've had with some of their tools in the pre-season, that's gone for me now, because it's been stated multiple times. It's been stated by Marshall himself, by Ross, and by, I think it might have been Jack Sinclair in an interview, that he's going to be the number one ruck, and they're just looking for support for Marshall at the moment. So I'm super confident on him. He will not leave the side unless there's some sort of injury disaster. A little bit injury prone, I know, but no rider this year. As the number one ruck, he should score really, really well. Scotty Lycett has entered the side over Darcy Cameron. It's just a bit of a cash thing at the moment, and the fact that Cameron is nursing a little bit of an injury niggle at the moment. Anytime you hear hamstring, even awareness, it does send shivers down my spine. So I've got Lycett into the team for now, because he's the cheapest stopgap player that's going to give me a little bit of time to get some ruck data, see exactly what's going to happen with the rucks this year. Apart from someone like a Darcy Cameron, I'm not going any lower than a Lycett. I am a lot keener on Cameron, but just, yeah, as I said, injury concerns, and Lycett is a little bit cheaper, allows me to get a couple of other players in. So Lycett, I think he's going to be the clear number one ruck. Finlayson did perform really well last year. I think he'll be the chop out, so I think they will play two tools. Well, more than two tools, but two guys that will rotate through there. I think Lycett will get the bulk time there. I'm thinking 75% plus. I don't think Hayes is really in the frame. I don't know if they really rate him that highly. And I don't really, see him as a real threat anyway. Certainly some competition, but that's just personal opinion there. So Lycett for me is just going to buy me some time. Possibly 6 weeks, let's just say. It will allow me to get a really good idea on who it actually is going to be the number one ruck this year. Will it be Witts? Will English be flying by then? What's going to happen with Darcy? Will Grundy, will Gawn get injured? Will one of them come into play? There are so many question marks for me. So at this stage, I just do not want to commit. I don't want to commit. So I need a placeholder there. I'm not comfortable going down to a Draper. I'm not comfortable going down to a Rattigalia. So Lycett is the cheapest option that I see as a stopgap. All I really need him to do is even average around his price, just do what he needs to. If you get to 500, that'd be really handy. Who knows, a Witts could come down to a 550 mark, let's just say. I could jump on there for 50 grand if all things go well. I don't see Lycett as a keeper. I see him as a player that's simply going to buy me some time. That's a strategy that I'm going with. People may say it's not a really smart move because you're starting a player at 429k, possibly without a heap of upside, and I do get that, but I'd much rather go down this route rather than having to basically select a premium ruckman out of a hat when I'm not really sure. So that's a method behind the madness there. Madden is obviously going to be a loot for us this year. Now you'll see a bit of a different forward line here, certainly strengthened. So Flanders I've actually dropped at the moment. Not that I dislike the pick, I just like another bloke who's basically exactly 100k dearer, who I'll talk about in a sec. You don't see an Oscar Allen and you don't see a Benny King anymore. But Josh Dunkley, we'll start with him. He won't move. I don't need to say anything. You're crazy if you don't have this bloke in your side. Cogs is the other guy that has now entered the side. I just can't deny him at the moment. And now we'll talk a little bit about why I've denied some of these defensive premiums. Dunkley, Cornelio, Rosie, and Taranto are all cheaper than Sicily, Sinclair, Stewart, Dawson, and Doherty. I just can't bring myself to pay up the big bucks for these blokes when I've got options up forward, such as your Cogs, Rosies, etc., etc. Now, you may be saying that you may be losing out some value without the Kings, without the McLeans, without the Allens. I've certainly got McLean there a lock, particularly if he plays round one, or he has to play round one to be a lock, obviously. If not, you bring probably a King in at exactly the same price or find a way to get up to an Allen. But remember, down my defensive line, I've got Caulfields, Jimbies, and McKenna types. So I think they can certainly do the job, even possibly do a better job. So I think that's also the method behind the madness, why I have gone so light down back, because I'm paying 50 grand less for Cornelio, 100k less basically for Rosie, same as Taranto, and Dunkley, let's just round him up to 600k. I rate him above every one of those premium defenders. So quickly going back to Cogs, he's got a great draw. I don't know if I mentioned that with Tom Green. That's another reason why I'm really keen on him. A terrific draw to start off the season. And you'll notice along with Dunkley, Rosie and Taranto as well, in my opinion, just personal opinion, they're either the number 1 or 2 midfielder in their respective sides. So Dunkley and Neil, Cogs and Green, in my opinion, possibly Jelly. Rosie, again, personal opinion, and maybe Wines. Taranto, let's say a Hopper or a Prestia. I'm not too sure. But Taranto, Dunkley, Cogs and Rosie, I think are all going to be terrific premiums. Cogs, another thing is you've got to look at what happened when Leon Cameron he resigned, didn't he? Was he sacked, resigned, sacked/resigned? But basically, when Cameron was coaching, we always had concerns about Canelio. When Cameron left, McVeigh came in, Canelio just went again to another level. I think that his CBAs will actually increase this year overall over a season in totality. So Cogs for me, 557,000 is becoming more of a lock each day. Rosie, 513k. Again, one of the most talented players in the AFL. I think top 5 to 10 on talent if he gets everything going this year. So I just can't deny him at the price either. I think, again, he's going to be a popular selection. I do prefer him over Butters, just due to Butters' kamikaze style of play. I just put my hands over my eyes every time Butters goes head first or elbow first or knee, whatever first he goes, whatever body or limb goes into that contest first. You know that he's going hard, and often he comes out second best. He's only a little fella. One of those chihuahuas that doesn't actually realise how small they are. So I like Rosie over Butters mainly for that reason. Both super talented players. So Taranto, you don't need any discussion. He's not a player that I want to back against. Very highly owned, maybe in day cost realms, possibly even a little bit more. And again, for good reason as well. Now, Zeeble, this is the big selection here, or the big change in my side. News has come out. He said to himself that he's had a bit of a meeting with Clarko, and they came to the conclusion that his best spot is to play down back. And we all know what he did in 2021. If he can repeat that, well, he's going to go at an average of 107. If he can get close to that, we can see an average of close to 100. At 356k, absolutely. Given the fact that he's looking to play down back by round 6, he's also going to have DPP status. And for my particular side, I need him down back. I need some more meat down back, some more security down there. And Zeeble, I think, by round 6, if he does play that role, absolutely gives me that. And could very, very well be a defensive premium. So let's take a look at his scores very quickly from 2021. Now, 2022, I'm basically just going to disregard. I'll just go out a little bit here, because he wasn't playing that defensive role. He was playing through the forward line for the majority there. So if you go, where am I? Fantasy stats from 2021. To start off with, we got him at 257k. Probably my best starting pick from that year. All of a sudden, by, round 8 here, let's round 599 up to 600k. I'll say that again. A bloke that started at 257k, by round 6, was 600k. This bloke was an absolute machine. Look at his scores. 113 down to a 72, but 155, 107, 148, 169 if you don't mind, 102, 111, then a couple of lower scores. And when I say lower scores, 89 and a 95. Then again, back up to 100. And by the end of the year, has a couple of poorer games to end from memory. Yeah, so an 84, again, no disaster, particularly if you're paying 356k for a bloke, and then a 60. But again, a couple of 120s, a 134. If he can go close to what he did there, then hello, he's an absolute lock for me. Now, there's a little bit of competition down back. A lot of this will rely on the kick-ins as well. So if he goes back to taking the majority of the kick-ins, then absolutely lock this bloke in my opinion. Definitely question marks. Does he keep the role? I don't know. As I mentioned, you've got other blokes like McDonald, Hall, Gota. Does he get a spot over the old bloke? Give him a bit of a rest from time to time? I don't know. But if he can return to that quarterback type position, I'm all over this pick. Not necessarily as a forward, but as a potential backline premium. If he gets injured, say round 7, round 8, the body lets him down. Hopefully he's already done his great work by then. I'm not expecting 600k by round 6. I'm not expecting that, but I'm hoping maybe we get close to even 500k. If that's the case and he's doing so well that he turns into a keeper, if he gets to that stage and then starts to taper off for any reason, or maybe we see a change in role, then you just jump off, you upgrade to one of these other premiums that you can select from, because there are a lot of good options down back, even though I'm fading basically all of the big guys this year. So really, really keen on the Zeeble pick. If news comes out that there's any change in role, then I'm not going there. And if he doesn't take a large amount of kick-ins, then I'll also have a large amount of concerns basically there, because I don't know if he can score well enough without those. So we'll see what happens there with the Zeeble pick, but I do see him as a potential defensive premium for me, and I really do need some more meat on the bone back there, don't I? So I think my next door neighbour must be bringing in the bin, and I think I've left the window there stinking hot here as well. I'm dying here at the moment, need to finish up in a sec. Toby McLean is an absolute lock if he plays round 178k in your forward line, in your midfield. Either way, make sure that you get him in if he plays round 1. Green, I've heard some really positive things about. Recently kicked 3 goals in the match sim in the A side, I believe. So with, what's his name, Lewis out, I think for the start of the season, or there's concerns about his body at the moment. He's going to step in, I think, and play round 1. He'll be good enough just for a bench spot. Wouldn't necessarily want to be playing him on field, but again, if you compare him to a King, to an Allen, who's to say that he may not be able to score as well as those blokes? Remember, King's only averaged, 54 for his high season average before. Allen's gone a lot higher than that, but Allen, although will be the main target up forward, won't be really getting extra points from that ruck relief role, which can be really handy points, an extra 10, 15 easily if you're doing that. So, yeah, I see that someone like a Green potentially being able to do the same job there with some pretty good job security as well. Maybe not as high as the other two, or definitely not as high as the other two. And then Van Ruin, heard good things coming out of Melbourne as well. So that is the team as it currently sits. But I want to show you a couple of things. All right, so obviously we've got some concerns what's going on down back here. Very, very easily, I could say goodbye to a Tom Mitchell, which I don't want to do. As I mentioned, really keen on him. And all of a sudden you go for someone like a Johnson from Freo, who's someone else who could most likely get a bench spot in my side. Then you got 421k. So you've got concerns about Goda. Out you go, son. And then all of a sudden you've got other blokes like Tommy Stewart, Sicily, Doherty, anyone that you want, you can get into your side there. So could easily get a premium there. Job is done. If you're worried about how light you are down back, that's a really easy move, isn't it? So let's get Titch back in. Go back to how we were looking. Jeez, what is going on here? The old internet. Mitchell, Tom Mitchell. Make your mind up. Wow, there we go. Is this an omen not to have Titch? What is going on here? We're having a moment, guys. We are having an absolute moment. Anyway, let's do our best to move on. Let's do our best to move on. Oliver is a slight concern due to that thumb. So other players I'm really keen on. Sorry, you probably... That's not good, is it? What is going on here? Save my team. What can I do? Incomplete. Oh, carnage is happening. Carnage is happening. I don't know what to do here. I don't know what to do. I'm going to select someone. Who can I select? Come on. Alright. I don't know what to do here. This is absolute carnage. We're having a disco here. I don't know if anyone can beatbox, but maybe beatbox to yourself or put something else on the background. I'm going to finish up. All that I was really going to mention was that if I go Oliver down, it's probably a Jack Steele, could be a Lockie Neal. We love Tuke Miller as well. Darcy Parish I'm really keen on. So I won't get into all the midfield premiums. I'm going to do a separate video just on the midfield. I'm going to quickly go through each line and the players that I'm keen on in a separate video. So yeah, look, I could drop a premium here. I could get Cameron back into the side. Jack Bowes is another player that I could upgrade, let's just say, a go to 2. Plenty of other things that I could do, but at the moment, I think I'm going to let you go because I'm about to have a seizure watching this screen. So that's it for now, guys. Thank you very, very much for watching. Let me know what you think about the side. Before I do let you go, there is one last thing that I wanted to share with you. and that is what's inside this little brown box. This is one of the prizes for our group winner this year, and I won't do it justice. I'm actually getting a new webcam in a week as well, getting close to 4K, which means that we really need to upgrade the camera quality. But as I said, won't do it justice, but here we go. Get it the right way up. We have a custom-made Supercoach ring from Supercoach Champions. Absolutely phenomenal prize, just part of the prize package for our group winner this year. That was donated from Supercoach Champions. So if you are interested in even grabbing one for your league, make sure that you jump onto Twitter, follow those great blokes, and they'll send you out all the info that you need as well. So thank you very much, guys, for all the support as well. As I mentioned, yeah, very, very close to 4K. If you do want to jump into the group, it is 744-739. Remember, unlimited entries for that. We've got prizes such as a free membership for a year. We've got some DR merch, some vouchers, lots of cool stuff to win. And best of all, it's all free to enter. So that's it for now, guys. Hope that you're well. Take care. I'm about to pass out. Need to get to a fan. See ya. Bye.